Hey everyone! Welcome back. I am back today with a brand new manga review series for you guys. We are jumping into part 8 of JoJo's Jojolion, everyone. I have been so excited to read this. I will give you a little bit of background just going into this. I know we're coming right off of Steel Ball Run, which I think is actually works out really well. But yeah, there is a lot to this one, you guys. And I can't even begin to describe to you how like similar and different this all is. So I will get into it. Before I do just want to say, if you're joining me early today, you know just what that means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And as always, I am sending you up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I do hope you will consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in that description down below. And if you're joining me on the YouTubes, I really hope you'll hit like and subscribe for me. It helps me and my channel so much. So thank you in advance for that. All right, guys. So just a little bit of brief background before heading right into chapters 1 through 4, which is what we're covering today. This is part 8. This is the most recent completed part of the manga. There is a part 9 coming out now. It's ongoing. We're coming right off of Steel Ball Run, which is going to be perfect in a lot of ways. We're not going to get to, well, yeah, actually we will. No, forget it. Forget I said that. I was going to say we're not going to get to like all the reasons why today, but we'll get to enough reasons that you're going to be like, oh my God, there's already some Steel Ball Run stuff in here. So going into this, I knew not very much. I knew like what the main JoJo looked like, and I knew like just like 1 or 2 details about just like the setting and everything. And I'll get into that in the review because I don't want to start talking about it before we actually go over everything that's happening in this thing. But yeah, I already love the tone. I already really, really love it, you guys. And just for your reference, I have read up to about chapter 17 or 18 at this point. I did not mean to read that far ahead before actually starting to record videos of like batches of chapters. But I'll be honest with you, I could not put the darn thing down. I could not put it down. It was so good. Like the more I read, the more like I would be like, okay, I'm going to read like a chapter tonight. And I ended up reading like 3 chapters. So I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And I think what the heck is going on would be the perfect tagline for pretty much this entire series, in my opinion, so far. I'm told that it's yeah, we're going to be weird the whole way through. Maybe even get a little bit weirder. But like you just, I'd say you have no idea, but like you probably do if you're here. You probably have read it. For those of you who haven't, just buckle up. Just buckle up, because already that we're off to like such a crazy start in this. So I'll be able to tell you, I'll be able to elaborate on that more after we're done talking about it. But let's just go ahead and get right into it, you guys, because we got a lot, even in 4 chapters. Like I'm probably going to do 4 chapters at a time because it's so dense. Like I love doing 5, and that worked out so well with Steel Ball Run. Hate to put myself behind like by doing smaller batches here. But these chapters are so freaking dense. Like they're like 40 pages long. So I think for now we're just going to do 4. So starting off really hot with chapter 1. We are hitting the ground running. We start the entire series, like chapter, off with a little map of S City and Morioh. So for those of you who are like, this is your first experience with Jojolion, that's a huge deal. I did actually know ahead of time that it was going to take place in Morioh. Like that I knew. And I knew what he looked like, and like one other little detail. And so I knew, but like, can you imagine like coming in, you have like, cause like after Steel Ball Run gave us nothing. It continued the tradition of like all the other parts except for part 2, where we just end off with like who knows what's going to be next? Who knows who's going to be next? Who knows? Like, we didn't even get Johnny, like, in a relationship or even like a situationship. We didn't get him in any position where he was to have children at the end of the last chapter, to the point where, like, and same with the series, where I was like, there were a lot of the series, I was like, I wonder if maybe we're just not doing, like, the Joestar line anymore. Like, maybe maybe he's done with it. Maybe he's done with, like, the legacy thing. He has to attach everyone to everyone. Maybe he's just done with it. You know, let's just see what he does. I will tell you to put a pin in that for now, because we're not going to get into it today, but we will get into it at some point. So don't worry about it. But we start off with this map of S City and Morioh, and you know that I'm pouring over this thing for any and all info. Part 4 is like God tier in my opinion. You know how much I love part 4. So I am pouring over this map to see, like, all right, who made it in, who didn't, like, what are we doing, what's, okay. So this is what we see on the map, okay? We see it labeled with things like Yasuo Hirosei's house, Hirosei being the family name of Koichi. So already we're like, wow. Yoshikage Kira's condo is on the map. And I'm just like, huh? Like, it makes sense. We're in Morioh, but like, we're really doing this. Like, we're bringing in, because I don't know, I felt like in Steel Ball Run, we had like little name drop things, but I feel like for the most part, the only character it feels like we really directly dragged out of like the old deal, even there, like we didn't, was Johnny, because he's Jonathan Joestar. Like, but even he is so different. Like Gyro, he's a Zeppeli, but he's already kind of like a different character and everything. He's not really supposed to be Will or Caesar. And then when we had Diego, who was very clearly, you know, supposed to be Dio and everything, and was Dio. But I feel like already we're bringing in a lot more than I would have thought of off the bat, from what we remember of the OG universe. So kind of surprising. And guess what else is on the map? Higashikata House, you guys. It's on there. It's on there. And it would not, to me, it would be, I would be so mad if we had Morioh without like any trace of like anything related to Josuke. That would upset me. That would upset me. But I will tell you, wait until you see what's up. Okay, just wait. So, the last thing we knew of a Higashikata in the story was Norisuke, who was... What place did he get in the Steel Ball Run? He got, like, pretty high up there, didn't he? I don't remember what place he was exactly, but he was on the boat at the end with Johnny, so, like, okay, so then we already have a connection to Steel Ball Run in some way, we just aren't exactly sure how. So the first scene, we open on this really cute girl, so adorable, love her style already, who seems to be hiding out from someone she kissed, so as to avoid like an awkward encounter. While she's hiding out, we see a guy with a sailor hat underneath some rubble behind her, and this is our main Jojo for the part. I think you're gonna love him. I already love him. Wow, he grew on me so fast. I was not expecting it. Because I knew what he looked like, and I was looking at him, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you know, good. Did not expect to be just, like, taken in so much by this man, but we'll get there. So she's super alarmed, obviously, and we go into an explanation of the surrounding area, which is Morioh, as we know. A lot of it seems the same. The town symbol kind of looks at least similar. I don't know, I'd have to compare them, like it's like a little M. And their specialty is still beef tongue. I don't know if you remember in the first episode, Jojo was asking about Morioh, like he's asking his cab driver, and the guy's telling him about how like they're known for their beef tongue. And you know what? Now they're known for the starfish that Jojo did his thesis on. Thank you very much. Jojo helped to put Morioh on the map even more. What a W for Jojo, because not only did they stop the serial killer that was about to ruin everything good about Morioh, but he also like put Morioh on the map as like a place of science and learning and fish. So, you can thank Jojo for that, you guys. All right, so anyway, in this Morioh, there was an earthquake that hit, and as a result, there are protuberances, as they call them in the manga, and that appeared suddenly, and they're known as the wall eyes. So already we're starting with like wall things that appeared, and I'm getting some like Attack on Titan vibes, and I'm getting some anxiety, but we'll go with it. No one can explain them, and that's where the current story is taking place, like where this girl just found this boy. He's reaching out his hand to her, and she's like he could be sick with something contagious. I literally have no idea why he's here, what's wrong with him. He might even like try to attack me. And I'm like, you know what? Fair. Totally fair. Like, I get it. Like, we know this is going to be the main JoJo for the part because like he's on the freaking cover. But like, 100% fair? Can we just say? Like, this girl's using your brain. So that's when we see the star on his back. Only it looks like there's either like bite marks or stitch marks around it. I couldn't tell at first. This will be clarified. She calls for help on her phone and mentions that they're at Lover's Cape, which I noted because was Lover's Cape the place in part 4 where the Boing Rock was? Remember the Boing Rock with Yukako and Koichi? And I want to say that was at Lover's Cape, but I could be wrong. And she mentions that her name is Yasuho Hirose. So I guess she's our Koichi. She's either supposed to be Koichi or Koichi's sister, or a combination, or neither. Just we have the same name, which is also totally possible. And says that around the birthmark it does look like bite marks. So I'm like, what is happening? Did someone try to take a chomp out of this boy? So he asks who he is. Like, he clearly doesn't remember. He has like amnesia or something. And we get a great like face shot in this panel. We know how Araki has become so fond of his like face panels. And rightly so. He's very good at them. So he starts to sink into like a hole, and she has to like pull him out, and she's hesitant because like now she's touched him, and this whole thing looks even worse than it really is because, yeah, forgot to mention, he's totally naked except for his hat. His hat is the only thing on his body at this time. His hat and his star is all you got, you guys. Like, and he's kind of like, he's sort of dead weight, and he's like all over her and on top of her. She's like trying to pull him out. So she sees her phone, and she took a picture of his birthmark. And she sees her phone, and in the pic she took of the birthmark, there's sort of like a clear bubble around the star, and it kind of looks like it's like moved a little bit. And I'm like, what? Huh? So then she notices he's naked, but kind of glaringly obvious, but she notices it, and she looks south of the border, if you know what I mean, and she just gasps. I'm not proud of the first thing that I thought, because I feel like where would your mind go with this context? She looks there, and she's like, not proud of it. I'm just saying, first thing I thought was like, nice. Okay. Surprisingly, there is more to it. However, I'm still a little ashamed. But, so then someone else shows up who Yasuho refers to as Joshu Higashikata. And two things. First of all, oh my god, here's our first Higashikata of the part. Like, we know they're in it, but like, here's our first one. Second thing is, I can't get too excited about this, you guys, because way back, I think it was in part 4 or part 5, in my comments, I remember distinctly someone saying that there is a character coming later on named Joshu that everyone hates. And apparently for good reason. Two reasons I remembered this was because, first of all, like, it's kind of like very different on a show like this to hate someone with Joe in their name. Like, that's typically not typically not the hateable characters if they have Joe in their name. Typically. The other thing is, I would joke back and forth about how, like, you know, oh yeah, like part 10 we're getting like Joshua Joestar or something, you know, and his name is like one letter off from Joshua. So I'm like, oh my god, was I actually kind of sort of right? So already, like, I want to be happy, but I kind of, there's a damper on it, and you're gonna see why. So because they're in this precarious position that I mentioned before, Joshu is not happy. And he's like, how dare you do that to my Yasuho? And she's kind of over there thinking, my Yasuho, like, I don't even like this person. In fact, I kind of hate them. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're really diving into that. Like, this is not a likable character right off the bat. So he picks up a rock, and Yasuho is begging for him to, like, let her explain what's really going on. And he smacks Yasuho out of the way. She, like, goes flat. I'm like, okay, all right. You know what? You might be the first person since, like, Dio to really turn me off this much to you. Like, already this person is super not likable. And believe me when I tell you it gets worse. And I'm, like I said, I'm less than 20 chapters in. I'm told, like, just, oh my God, everything's going to get so much crazier in so many ways. I think we have, like, 110 chapters this time. So, like, yeah, we have a lot, you guys. And I'm only, like, less than a fifth of the way through that. So, Mr. Wonderful, is about to hit our new guy with this rock. And new guy sees her laying there and is not happy that she just got hit like that. So he, in all his naked glory, which I have to say, like, being perfectly honest here, very glorious, looking very glorious in all his glory here. He stops Joshu's hand with that has a rock in it, but unfortunately Joshu twists his arm and smacks him with the rock anyway. Joshu goes in again with the rock, but the birthmark bubble starts to come out of our new guy's back. And Joshu's like, I'm gonna kill you and then, like, kill myself. And I'm like,
that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand.
What is happening right now? So the next thing we see is that Joshu's eyes are missing. Full on horror movie, empty sockets, nothing in there. And he's scrambling, which, you know, who wouldn't be in that situation? And while he's doing that, new guy hits him in the stomach so hard that he throws up. And Yasuo's just like, who is this guy? And I'm like, yeah, who is this guy? That's a good question. So she's like, okay, well, maybe I was hallucinating, but I saw those. And I'm like, huh? She proceeds to explain that there were 4 balls.
What? What the fuck?
She doesn't, that you heard that exactly right. No, we're not talking about steel balls. But I'll tell you what, much like Steel Ball Run, balls are going to be a big focus of this part. Believe me when I say it. And we're not talking about the kind that Gyro used, you guys. We're talking about the kind you would think of. He's got 4 of them. And she's pretty freaked out about it, as one would be. She doesn't know if she should say something or not, but she's like, well, I can't ever unsee this, so great. I would like to say Mista would never, first of all. I feel like they're just this whole edition of the story was just to antagonize Mista somewhere in the universe. 4 balls. Okay, Finn, we're leaving off on some real personal information about our new Jojo, and that is a wrap for chapter 1. So already we've got Morioh, we've got characters who we know but we don't know. There's still just so much more to cover in this, because trust me, as time goes on, like, we will get a lot more, like, familiarity, only not. But yeah, really putting the bizarre in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I really like Yasuho so far in this chapter. She's super cute, and she's got just kind of like this, she's got kind of this, like, quirky cuteness, but she's not supposed to be, like, cutesy per se. She just, I don't know. I like the way he writes female characters, because he always just kind of writes them like people. Like, even if they're a little bit girly, they don't come off as like, I'm girly and that's like my whole personality is that. It's like, so cute so far. Our new guy has a good body. That's about all we know about him at this point. I really don't like Joshu. Those are my big takeaways so far. So he is clearly, he's some kind of Joestar. We don't know why or how. And come to think of it, I don't know if, did we ever even see Johnny with the birthmark? I don't remember, like, because I feel like I always kind of make a note of it. Like, even the ones they didn't show very much, like, they showed it, like, once on Josuke. And I'm like, oh my god, there it is, there's a star. You know, they showed it once on Giorno. Of course, that stood out more because it was, like, before we were still, like, putting together who is this person? How is he related? Which I guess is what we're doing right here, too. But we don't get an answer. Well, I haven't gotten, like, a real straight answer about it yet. But we don't get more in the way of answers for a few more chapters. So just put a pin in that. But yeah, so he is a Joestar. He doesn't know who he is, and he has 4 spherical appendages. I could just call them by their name, but I don't know why that just... It's so immature. It's so junior high of me, but I'm just like, it feels worse saying the real word. Anywho, wow, really hitting the ground running here, you guys. So, like, we have a couple takeaways. Like, if you want to, like, they don't say it at this point, but I think it's easy enough to infer that we're dealing with descendants of Norisuke. Clearly, we're in a modern era. I can't remember if they say the year in this or not. Because I feel like they do say it at one point, but I don't know if they say it yet. But we at least have cell phones. We're at least in an era where, like, everyone has a cell phone on them. So we got to be at least, like, past 2000s, you know. So we did a big old time jump. We're following, I guess, a lot of Norisuke's descendants and one Joestar that we have no idea about how he fits in. And yeah, that's about it. And we know the whole thing with the wall. I feel like the thing with the walleyes is going to be really important. I feel like that could be a thing where, like, the whole story ends up kind of, like, centering around, like, there's some kind of, like, seismic activity because of something. But I could be wrong. Could just be, like, I mean, sadly, there are a lot of, like, natural disasters, like tsunamis and things like that. That occur in a lot of, like, coastal regions like that. So maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't know why that kind of stuck in my head that I'm like, I'm going to keep an eye on that, because I feel like the whole thing with the wall eyes and everything, I feel like that could be something more. It could just be me. So let's just get right into it with chapter 2, because we have an awful lot going on in this one, you guys. So chapter 2, the new guy is thinking to himself that he doesn't know his name or who he is, or even, like, where he is. He just woke up in a hospital. So he doesn't know any of that, but he can, like, precisely identify, like, birds, butterflies, trees, and things that he's, like, seeing outside the window. And now he knows Yasuho, which is, he's thinking that there in the hospital room. So Yasuho comes in looking for him, and he's under the bed. She sees his head sticking out from under the bed and freaks out, because who wouldn't? And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, what? Do people sleep on top of the bed and not, like, under it? So he knows, like, this specific info, and this just gets weirder too with, like, the specific things that he can, like, tell and gauge. But he doesn't apparently know that people sleep on top of the bed. Or maybe he just, like, sleep on the bed. I don't know. So she says she brought him a present, but that she was actually there to see Joshu, and explains that he's not her boyfriend, but they've known each other since they were little, and they go to the same college. And I'm just like, why do you still associate with this person? Like, you clearly hate him. He's clearly a creep, and he just, like, kind of smacked you. Like, she's so much more, like, I don't know. I'd say she's more patient or better than me, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we should normalize not associating with creeps who, you know, just because we knew them in childhood, but, you know, apparently she's a very patient girl to do that. So as the new guy starts coming out from under the bed, his pants get, like, a little caught, and they start coming down, and she starts freaking out at the thought of the quadruple surprise that she saw before. And so that's the thing that happens. And she brought him some sesame honey dumplings, which apparently are, like, a Morioh favorite. And she tries to warn him about, like, how to eat them so that the filling doesn't spray out everywhere. And of course he doesn't do it right, and the filling just goes everywhere. And so she's, like, trying again to show him, and he just does it all over again with, like, he bites into it and the filling just sprays everywhere. And I'm like, oh my god, he's so puppy-like. Like, he's so, like, I don't know, there's just something about him. He's got, like, total puppy energy. and I'm here for it. So Yasuho is like, hey, do you know like what's going on here, like where you're from or anything like that? Because like she says she's talked to police and they're looking into the missing person reports and all the records and everything, but they're not finding anything. She's like, did you really lose your memory? And he says he can't remember anything about himself, but he can remember things like how to read, how to tie his shoes, like basic like info. And he says that the only person he knows is her, like in the whole world. And he hugs her and he's like, you're the only person I know in the whole world. I'm like, oh, you're so cute. You're such a little lost puppy. And it's such a cute, wholesome moment. And then Araki comes in and is like, too wholesome. Gotta do something about it. She starts freaking out and saying like, it's hitting me. It's hitting me. And we pan out to see, I'm not going to say, I just look at the screenshot. Look at the screenshot. I think that's the first we've ever gotten an event like that in JoJo's. I don't remember seeing any other uprisings of a similar nature. But that is the thing that happened apparently. So, you know, apparently it's maybe it is just kind of it just happened. It just happened. He hugged somebody he really cared about, and it's just a thing that happened. I don't know, you guys. So she asks about his hat and he says he's had it like this whole entire time, and she recognizes the shop that it's from. Guess what the tag says, you guys? The tag says SBR. And I'm just like, did Norisuke start like a clothing shop in Morioh or something? Like after the race or something? Like, what are the odds it will be called SBR? Or maybe it's just a fun little nod from Araki. It's fully possible. So Yasuho gets the idea to go and talk to the shop owner or designer, shop owner person. But the problem is they can't just exactly walk out of the hospital because the new guy is under suspicion for this whole brawl that went down with Joshu. So he says he really needs to go and like do this in person. So he touches his shoulder and a bubble appears. And he knows all this stuff, like exact meters and like centimeters of one location to another. And he actually even like questions the size of like Yasuo's chest in centimeters and all this different, like he has like these very specific like kind of abilities, yet can't remember certain things. It's very, very odd. So there's an officer guarding the hallway, and new guy sends some bubbles towards her. So all these holes like riddle her body, and she's like, I'm kind of thirsty. I'll go get a drink. And there's water leaking out of all the holes. And I'm just like, what? What did we do? What on earth just happened? So anyway, the officer gets up and isn't looking, so they're able to sneak out past the officer, and Yasuo's just like, huh? And I'm like, yes, girl, huh? So sadly, even though they just got out, Joshu saw them, and of course he's freaking out about the two of them being together. So then we see that Joshu has bite marks on his leg, just the way that like new guy had around his star. So I'm like, what is that about? Yeah, so anyway, he's happy that she brought him more honey dumplings than she did to the new guy, so he's taking some solace in that, I guess. I don't know. I don't like him at all. He's so like, I'd say he's like pick me, but he's not even pick me. He's so much worse. I don't know how to even describe him. So anyway, so new guy doesn't recognize anything in town while they're walking through to get to the shop. But then they arrive at SBR, which is so funny. And I didn't wear it today, of course, but my Steel Ball Run shirt says SBR on it. And I don't know if you remember this, but in the Rohan OVA, with the the one I love so much, the one with the girl and the boyfriend gets killed and he's bleeding everywhere and everything. You remember that one? He has a shirt on that says SBR on it as like a nod, and I'm just like, that's perfect. I love it. So They get to the shop. They ask the shop owner about the hat, and he says he does recognize it, and he sold one not that long ago. Now, I'm just going to stop here to say that when I read this, I was like, oh my god, this reminds me so much of the scene in part 4 where Jotaro and Koichi take Kira's button to the tailor shop. Remember? Like, after Shigechi and everything, and they take it in to, like, try and... So I'm going to ask you to just put a pin in that, because that was my initial thought. Is like, oh my god, that's what this reminds me of. And I had no idea how kind of, like, ironic that was. I'm going to ask you to put a pin in it for now. So, the owner says to New Guy, like, yeah, you bought the hat. And New Guy's like, huh? Like, I lived here? I went to the store? And meanwhile, Yasuo's trying to, like, charm an answer out of the owner. About, like, who exactly the New Guy is. Like, do you remember his name by any chance? And the guy's starting to get suspicious, like, what is going on here? And but she manages to convince him. Guess what his name is, you guys. Guess what his name is. Do you want to put in a guess right now if you don't know already? You're not gonna guess it. You might guess it. It's Kira Yoshikage. Let that sink in a little bit. Reading this the first time around, I was like, what the fudge? So, Yasuo's all happy that they figured it out, and she, like, peeks at the order form to get his address, and the owner's like, no, but don't do that, please. And so, Yasuo's really pulling out all her charms and, like, they finally get, the address. And it's an apartment building, so she's like, okay, that means you probably live alone. So she's like, you don't really look like Akira. I'm gonna give you a nickname that's after my dog that I used to have that you kind of remind me of. His name was Josuke. So we're calling him Josuke now. He's Josuke. He's Josuke for this part. Like we had Jonathan last time. Now we have Josuke. Only Josuke is Kira. Going back to my previous pin. No, I can't say that yet. Never mind. We'll go to the pin in a few chapters. But yeah. So Josuke is Kira in this. From what we know so far. So, this is so perfect though, like naming him after the puppy, because he's got total puppy vibes. And now we have Josuke for this part. And so far it's like, no, it's not our, like, we're not even trying to be at this point like this is Josuke, which I gotta say, in a way, I love and have such an attachment to Josuke from part 4. I'm kind of glad we're just going in a totally different direction. And I could say that about most of like the new universe writing, is that like I love that we can do an homage to the original universe, but we're not trying to like recreate it exactly. Like this is very much its own thing, because if we were trying to just like redo the old universe, I think it would definitely not sit as well with me. So I was happy about that. So where was I? Second. They get to the apartment and Yasuo finds a spare key, and Josuke's like in shock and does this super cute shock face. And she's just like, wow, I can't believe you would do something to keep a spare key here in this day and age. Just like really like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of cute, like wacky moments in here. And I'm trying, even though they're not super important to the story, I'm trying to note them as they happen because it does contribute to the vibe. And the vibe is kind of like very, very weird, but also has like this kind of cutesy air, kind of like part 4. So they go in and they see a wall of a bunch of sailor hats. So yeah, this is definitely the right place. And they even try like the clothes and shoes and everything on Josuke, and they all seem to fit. So like, okay, they got the right place. Then they hear someone in the next room. Finn to chapter 2. That was a dense one, even though we weren't doing a whole lot the entire time. A lot of the time was just about like Josuke being silly or Joshu being an a-hole, or, you know, then we finally got to the part where they get some answers. It's, again, like, I noted all of it because, like, I do feel like a lot of that, like, contributes to the vibe. And we're just getting to know our new Jojo, so, like, we really want to see, like, how he acts in certain situations. I gotta say, the cutie puppy vibes, oh, they're working so much for me, you guys. He's a cutie puppy in, like, a hot sailor's body. And I'm just like, you've done it again, Araki. You've done it again. He's like a sleeper hottie. He really is, because, like, looking at him, you wouldn't think you would like him so much. But then, like, he's very well proportioned, and he's so cute. He's so cute. He's just very, like, definitely giving the puppy vibes, giving the lost puppy vibes. I don't know why, but, like, I just immediately want to, like, protect him. So yeah, but then we get the bombshell dropped on us that he is Kira. Now, we don't know anything about Kira in this part. Kira in this part could be, you know, like, super wonderful, like a saint, you know? So maybe saint is a little too on the nose after we had the whole, like, saint corpse thing last time. You know what I mean, though? Like, we don't know. We don't know. But I was not holding out hope at this point. I'm like, I feel like he's never changed anyone that much. Like, if you're aligned one way in one universe, you're probably aligned the same way in this universe, you know? Like, even though Diego wasn't as bad and everything, like, he was still Dio. You know, we still had, like, I don't know. I just feel like it gave me a bad feeling, this whole Kira thing. And to bring in a new character, so at this point in time, I'll talk in this is why I usually don't read ahead, because then I have to, like, get back into the mindset, because now I do know a little bit more. But, like, this point in time, all we know is that this person is Kira, and we're calling them Josuke. So technically, like, our Jojo, and we don't even know how he's a Jojo, by the way, yet. Our Jojo, undoubtedly of the Joestar bloodline, because he's got the star. We don't know how. He is a Joestar descendant. He is Kira, and we're calling him Josuke. So it's just we're getting off to a real weird start this time around, you guys. A real weird start. I do like the dynamic between him and Yasuo. You can tell Yasuo is, like, reluctant to kind of be taken in by his cuteness, but it's really hard to resist how kind of, like, innocent he is and everything. And but at this point, like, we don't really know anything about him, and since we just found out he's Kira, of course we, the audience, are thinking, like, the first thing I thought was, like, oh my god, he has amnesia or something, and he really is, like, Kira the serial killer. But now that he's, like, a new person, he doesn't have to be that anymore. And we're gonna, like, slowly put together, like, who he is, and, like, he's gonna have to, like, kind of build his own new identity and be like, that's not who I want to be, and everything. That was my initial reaction. Of course, we know he's also a Joestar, so it's like, having a serial killer Joestar would be very, very odd. So I don't know. But then something that struck me is, like, the star had, like, marks around it, and I was thinking, like, is the star not really his? Like, it kind of looked like it was bitten or, like, stitched. So, like, maybe he's not even a Joestar. That is what I was thinking at this point. So really, really crazy stuff, you guys. Let's kick it off with chapter 3. So they're trying to figure out who or what's in the other room that they heard. And they show in the panel, they show Kira's living room, and there's a big portrait. So in case you were thinking, like, okay, this is not going to be Kira. It's not going to be like that Kira. Like, huge portrait of the Mona Lisa. I just can't. And on top of that, there's all these Easter eggs around, like, the whole apartment. There's gonna be more later on, like, in the next batch. But in this one, we see, like, a hand, like, on display. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be a real, I hope it's not a real hand. But, like, I think it's supposed to be, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, a hand mannequin, or just even, like, a artsy kind of, like, hand, you know, statue thing. and it's on display, and it's doing like the pointing towards the sky like they do in Great Days. And I'm just like, oh my God, the Easter eggs are everywhere. And I'm so happy because like part 4 is my happy place. Love it. Like have it memorized. And like, I will probably actually be able to enjoy a lot of the Easter eggs here because I am like that into part 4. So I'm just so down with it. But the Mona Lisa thing killed me. I'm just like, oh my Lord. Some freaky stuff went down in this living room, didn't it? So they can hear people walking around upstairs, and Yasuho is like looking around and finds a ton of like canned peas in the cupboard and wasabi. And she's like, apparently he loves green. And I just brought that up because I'm like, I don't remember that with the original Kira. So I have no idea if it's like supposed to be an Easter egg or if it's like a weird side thing that might be important later. I don't remember him like saying like, I love, was that in like the monologue? Like, my name is Yoshikage Kira. I'm 33 years old. I live in the blah, blah, blah. I love peas. I'm all about the peas. And I have many cans of peas at home. I don't remember that. I don't think that was part of the monologue, but I could be wrong. It was a pretty long monologue. So they confirm using some papers that they find on the counter that it's definitely Kira's apartment. Josuke goes to turn off, he hears like a dripping faucet in the bathroom, and he goes to turn it off. And in the bathtub, he sees a naked girl. There's just an awful lot of naked people in this part, you guys. We're just leaning into the nakedness. Like Jolene was just a stepping stone to the nudity that he got so comfortable with in this new universe, you guys. Like, you have no idea. Oh my God, the amount of like, I over the screenshots, I had to do my own little censoring just for like YouTube purposes and everything. And I'm like, Araki sensei, I'm so happy you're so comfortable with the human body. That's wonderful. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's beautiful. But good God. Just good God. So he runs out. He slams the door. He's scared. And he tells Yasuho, like, there's a woman in that tub. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? So Yasuho goes to confirm. And she indeed does see a girl sitting on the edge of the tub. And she's like, excuse me, one moment. And she comes out and she's like, why is there a naked woman there? And he's like, how should I know? And I'm like, babe, it's your apartment. And she's like, yeah, are you so sure that you don't know her? Like, come on. Like, you sure you don't remember anything? And Yasuo's like, okay, well, we have to ask her what's going on. So, like, I guess I'll have to do it. So she goes in and is like, okay, so look, I barely know this guy. We are not friends. I don't even really want to be here. I kind of got dragged into this. And I just have to ask, are you his girlfriend? And so, real quick pause on this. Like, she almost kind of feels like a little bit shy. I don't know. I think you could read a lot. You could read it a lot of different ways. But like, to ask, like, are you his girlfriend first? You know, I guess that would be the most likely answer if you find a naked girl around his age in his apartment. But like, not like, how do you know him? Not like, what are you doing here? Are you his girlfriend? And then kind of getting a little bit miffed with him that there was a naked girl. I get it. I would have the same reaction, honestly. So the girl gets up and starts walking towards them. And Yasuo's like, whoa. Okay, please don't get up. You're very, very naked right now. And we notice that the girl has a strange marking on her foot. She's like, please help me. I'll do anything. Just please get me out of here. And they hear all kinds of noise and commotion upstairs, and a glass bottle falls down and breaks on the floor in this bathroom. And the girl looks up at like what's going on upstairs, and she looks scared. So Josuke says he'll go get something to clean up the glass, but when he steps into the slipper that's on the ground there, he accidentally falls right into the glass. And we reveal that there were thumbtacks in his slipper. And I'm like, what in the WWE is going on in here with the people getting stuck with thumbtacks? What is happening? And so even worse, oh God, guys, the glass jar, it wasn't just a glass jar, guys. It was full of fingernails, and it was labeled with the date. By the way, the date was like several years before this, because I don't remember if they had said it by this point, but I think it takes place in like 2010 or 2011. And it's labeled like 2005. So Josuke, yeah, nope, I've read that part already. Yeah, so I feel like this is, yeah, being set up to something Kira-ish because we have a scared girl in the bathroom. We have jars of fingernails. We have Mona Lisa. We do have hands. We have representation of the appreciation of hands on a couple of levels here. So I feel like we're setting this up to like he's gonna be bad news. So they look at the shelf and there's many more glass bottles, some dating back to the 90s and the 80s, and I'm just like, oh my lord. So Yasuho finds a photo album and Josuke asks what's in it, and she starts freaking out. She's like, don't touch me. And Yasuo's like, why did I come here? What am I even doing? And she's like, she says to Josuke, like, leave my town. I thought you were a good person. I don't want someone like you living in my town. And that's the same thing that a lot of people were saying about Kira in like part 4. If you don't, if you remember, I don't ever want to see you again and all this stuff. She throws the book at him and runs. And I'm like, oh dear God, I don't even want to know what was in that book. So he looks at the book and it's pictures of him with girls who look an awful lot like they are in a kidnapping situation. They are being held captive. They are bound. It's some bad stuff, you guys. Like, it's not super explicit what was happening, but it does not look good. He freaks out, of course, because he's a puppy and he can't believe it. And he's like telling the bathtub girl, like, he wants answers. And she's like, I thought you came here to save me. And he's like, so I'm so confused at this point because I really thought they had just put the lid on, like, okay, he is Kira, he's a serial killer. Like, we have an open shut case here. But then she's like, she's also not scared of him, which is kind of an interesting point because, like, if he were the one doing all this, why wouldn't she be like, get away from me, don't touch me, don't hurt me, please, I'll do anything. But she's like, no, I thought you were here to help me. And she was more scared of the upstairs. So there's still a little hope, I guess, about what's going to... Because honestly, like, okay, the hands, the Mona Lisa, all that stuff. Here's the thing. If Kira had just been a guy who was, like, really into hands, you know what? But I'm not here to shame anyone's kink. Whatever, frost your cupcakes. Great. As long as you're not hurting people. That was where the line was drawn, because like once you start killing girls for the hands, now that's too far. Once you do anything that's like immoral, illegal about it, that's what stops being okay. But like if it weren't for the pictures, you could just be like, maybe he just really is into documenting his fingernails, you know? I mean, so we all have our things, you guys. I collect a bunch of figures, you know, like who's to judge, right? But now it's looking like he's a serial killer. But maybe not. So, the girls like, so they hear more noises upstairs and Josuke gets more glass in his hand, like apparently another bottle fell. And the girl's like, please take me with you and run. And that's when Josuke notices he's starting to get the same markings on his hands and feet as the girl. So the girl's like, you don't have the symbol on all of them yet. We have to hurry. Let's go. So something's slipping towards him and he's like getting these symbols and the girl's like, you still got one leg left, we've gotta hurry. Finn to chapter 3. Oh my god. So as if it wasn't crazy enough that like we have Kira in this story as apparently the main Jojo and as Josuke, we have some confirmation of some things about his character, except not, you know, like I was just saying, okay, well, you know, it's not looking good with the pictures, but on the other hand, like, why isn't this girl acting like he's the one who kidnapped her? And she's talking more about, like, the people, like, she's looking more at the upstairs and she's talking about markings and she's like, so far from what we've seen, like, his stand doesn't make markings on people. Like, that's not what it does. We've seen the bubble, but, like, so there's a lot of, like, what's going on here? Like, is Kira really Kira? Is he really Kira? Like, what's going on? They're doing a great job with the mystery at this point, and beyond this point, trust me, it's a really, really good mystery. Yasuho, understandably, is like, I'm getting the heck out of here. I really can't say I blame her. We know she was always apprehensive that, like, this guy could be, like, Can you blame her after knowing someone like Joshu her whole life that she's like suspicious of people? Because, like, you don't know who's a creep and who's not. Like, she knows nothing about this guy, you know? And now all of a sudden she found pictures of him with bound women. And a whole bunch of really disturbing fingernails, not gonna lie. Like I said, all that stuff on its own would just be a little strange. There's nothing really dangerous about it. The pictures were the big thing. So yes, we have this girl in the bathtub. She has these markings. Now Josuke's getting the markings. We can definitely tell there's something going on with the stand user here. Something like is moving back and forth in this, you know, something that has to do with upstairs. And, you know, it's ultimately resulting in something about these markings. So that's basically our big takeaway from chapter 3 would be the girl in the tub, new stand user probably, and Kira's possibly getting illegally freaky with people. Allegedly. So, let's just go right on to chapter 4. Unfortunately, we are going to end in the middle of the story, so we are going to end on a cliffhanger this time, but trust me, there's so much going on in these first few chapters. I really didn't want to have to try to compact it all, you know, into like a 5 or more batch. So, Yasuho at this point has run out of the apartment, and some of her friends catch up with her, and they're asking, like, if she wants to go to this dessert shop, and apparently, like, the menu has these really elaborate descriptions, which they're going to be in the screenshot. Honestly, I'm so down for, like, any of this food if it's described this way. It's just so whimsical, and she's, like, being so cute with them and taking selfies, and, like, I don't know, she's just such a cutie pie, and I love her, but, like, then, you know, obviously, she just came out of what she thinks is a very bad person's apartment, and she's like a little bit affected by it. She's like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go home, and she waits until they're gone and she starts crying, and I just like, I want to hold her so bad. So she's thinking back on everything that's happened, you know, how she found him, the photos, and she's thinking like he really didn't seem like someone who would do something as awful as what was going on in those photos. And she's like, maybe that wasn't really him, like, I don't know. Meanwhile, he's also struggling both with his identity and his current situation. These symbols are popping up on him. He goes to grab a towel and there's like needles, like sewing needles coming out of it. And he's like, first the thumbtacks and now this. Like, what is happening? And I'm like, same. So she's like, he'll hear you upstairs. Like, you don't want them to stand like directly above you or it's all over. So I'm like, okay, so this is definitely the work of somebody else, which I think we were all pretty aware of before. And he's like, who are you? And she starts to get back into the tub and she's saying like, I don't really want to go back in the tub right now. Please help me. So something's happening. She's like going under the bath, like she's starting to like drown, and Josuke's just like, huh, so that's how you get in a bath, huh? Like, I like being under the mattress, but this is even a little much for me. I don't think I would do this. And she's like, glug, help me. Like, she's clearly drowning. He's just so silly. And so finally he realizes like, oh shoot, you're drowning. He tries to pull her out, but he can't. He's saying like, he can't get her out. And then he feels a force around him pulling him away. So he's almost being like puppeteered. His hands and feet are moving on their own probably because of these marks. And it sort of reminded me of Enya with her stand, the way she could like, you know, make the wounds and then like puppeteer people using those. So he finally manages to pull the stopper chain on the tub and it starts to drain. But then he looks down to see that the chain has been made into razors and is cutting his hand. So I'm just like, this just gets weirder and weirder, but that's definitely what's happening. The wounds are making the marks and the marks are how he's being controlled. So the girl tells him that 3 were taken and if 4 get taken, he's done for. So every time they're standing directly above whoever we're talking about upstairs, and someone gets wounded, a symbol gets attached. So she confirmed that. And so far he's got like, I think it's like one of his feet is okay. Doesn't have one. So Josuke starts to put together what's kind of like what's going on, and that the guy upstairs is targeting him. but he's not sure if the guy upstairs is Kira or if he's Kira. So he's demanding that this girl, like, tell him what his name is. Like, give him some info. So she tells him that he, Josuke, was in the room 3 days ago, and now that he's back, she assumed that he was back to save her. So I'm like, okay, so whatever is going on with all these photos and whatever is happening with Kira, it's safe to say that, like, at least in this situation, he did not abduct this girl, and he is not the aggressor here. So what was happening 3 days ago remains to be seen. So she starts to say who the man above them is, but then we notice, like, she's starting to grab her tongue while she's doing it, and we see a hand reach behind her, and she's grabbing, like, a razor, and she's taking it to her tongue, and Josuke's trying to stop her, but can tell that, like, whatever power is at work here is not going to let that happen. Like, they're physically being manipulated. So he finally manages to get it away from her, and she thanks him but says, you know, that was just, like, she was just bait in this situation. The guy upstairs wants to take 4 points from him and get the razor into his hand, which he just did. So she says that the only thing free right now is Josuke's right foot. So he's starting to understand he's struggling against this like crazy. Then he's like, wait, all I need for him is to not be directly above me, right? And she's like, that doesn't matter. He's got control of you now, and like, you can't drop the razor. So he takes his little star bubble, and it's coming for the he takes his little star bubble, it's coming for the razor, and we see a stand appear behind him, and it's very cool looking, and I gotta say, it looks very much like the OG stands of like the original universe, and I love that. It has like a very nautical theme. It has like the anchor, of course. The anchor and all of that was like on part 4 Josuke's, like, I think he has it on, I think it's on his hang on, let's see real quick. Yeah, he's got the heart, the peace sign, and the little anchor. So a lot of really nice nods to part 4, while also being like, oh, it makes total sense because he's a sailor and everything. But I really like the look of the stand, because we're already starting to get kind of back to more of like what I remember of the original universe stands. And I think it was really cool that in part 7 he experimented so much with more like animalistic looking stands, very different looking stands. But I'll always be kind of a sucker for just like the sort of robotic looking like stand. So where was I? Yeah, stand appears behind him. The bubble pops and his stand is fully emerged behind him. And he says the words soft and wet, which is a Prince song, I'm pretty sure, because I was listening to Prince the other day and I heard it and I was like, oh my God, so that's what it's from. So, and that will be the last Prince reference in this, by the way. As we know, well, they didn't really say this in the show, but in the manga, one of the fun facts about Josuke is that he loves listening to Prince. So there's a lot of Prince references in this, which I think is a fun kind of like nod to part 4. And also, like, there were other Prince references throughout the series. One of Abdul's chickens was named Prince, and Gold Experience was also a reference to Prince, which was from part 5, which you know. He says the words and he explains that when his soap bubble touches something and breaks, he can take something from it. So just now he took the sound from the wall and now no one can hear it. And I'm like, when you said it could take something, I didn't realize it could take something like sound. Like, that's super, super cool. Like, that's awesome. So just now, yeah, he took the sound from the wall. So soft and wet, the stand smashes the wall, but you can't hear anything because he took the sound. Now they can get out of the room and he's no longer whoever's upstairs is no longer like directly above them. Like, they can basically move out of the way. So Josuke says he's gonna go hit him himself, and I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. And he takes off running towards the door. And he figures that the door is probably still unlocked from when Yasuho left a few minutes ago. But because he can calculate the exact like centimeters, meters, etc., he knows he's not going to be able to make it to the door in time and not get caught. So he takes off for the veranda instead. Finn fin to part 4. I know it was mean to leave you on a cliffhanger. I apologize, but that was an awful lot, wouldn't you agree, for the start to the series. Like, we are already well into, like, the mystery of what the heck is going on, unfolding that. Our first stand fight. I mean, God, we didn't even, Johnny didn't even have a stand for, like, how long in the series? And I feel like so much of that was, like, I feel like it's starting off the opposite to Steel Ball Run, because I feel like Steel Ball Run really built up over, like, several chapters. Like, there was a lot of build up. Like, we did hit the ground running with the race, ha ha ha, but we didn't like necessarily like drop into the middle of like some kind of craziness. We were kind of like building up the story. Here we just drop right into it, like totally different tone from part 7. I feel like, I mean, you can still tell it's JoJo's and it still feels like, you know, it's not like it feels like a different writer or anything, but just like any other parts, 2 parts that you're comparing in JoJo's, like this one already has very much its own vibe. It's a little bit sillier at times. It's a lot more just like very shocking and graphic and bizarre, which, you know, of course in the name, so it has to be. And I already feel like we're moving away from like the drama aspect a little bit more to like a more mystery, a little bit more action, a little bit more like, I don't want to say slice of life, but I'll say slice of life because I think it's a little slice of life-ish. So again, like we definitely, like you could tell the improvement, the change in Araki's writing, in that we are getting a little bit more focus on characters. It's a little bit more character driven, but in a totally different way than Steel Ball Run was. Steel Ball Run was all about like meaning, purpose, you know, faith, and just all like very, it was very dramatic toned. And this is very like, he's literally trying to find himself. He's literally trying to figure out who he is. So I really love it so far. I think you guys are really going to enjoy the later chapters too. Like I said, I've read past this point and it just keeps getting better and better. Like you wouldn't believe, I've had so many like gasp moments reading this. And like I said, I couldn't put it down, which is why I'm so far ahead. But I love it so far. Definitely very, 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 very different. We have Morioh, we have Josuke, we have Kira, we have a Hirose, which I guess we could just say she's Koichi in this. Maybe she's like maybe the way that Gyro was sort of a combination of Will and Caesar, but also not. She's a combination of Koichi and Ayana, his sister, but also not. But she's super cute. I like her a lot so far. She kind of gives me vibes like... kind of like what Jolene was like before the car crash happened, you know? She's just kind of like... And now she's being pulled into all of this craziness. So how will that change her, and how will that affect her, and like what are we going to see of her in the future? Which I think you're just stay tuned, because I think you're really going to like where a lot of this is going. But yeah, so I love Josuke so far. You know, he just immediately was just so cute and so funny, and just like he has this like kind of like sweet innocence, ignorance about him, yet he's also very, very sharp in some ways. Yet we also like, now we have this added like, oh my god, is he really, like maybe he's really not this person, maybe he's really not. Of course, now we know whoever is instigating this incident is the perpetrator here and not him, like at the very least, but we still have those very incriminating photos. So we have kind of this like, he seems like a sweet boy, but then, like, there's this other side of it of, like, okay, but who is he really? And what is really going on here? And is he really Kira? And, like, is Kira really Kira in this? I mean, it kind of looks that way so far. But, of course, like, regardless of what's going on with Kira, I think we know that Josuke is going to end up being a good boy. I think at this point I was thinking, like, it would be interesting to do something like that. Where, like, okay, you wake up. You have no idea who you are or what's going on or where you are, and you find out that you used to be a serial killer, like up until a few days ago. What do you do? So, and it's also interesting that we get Josuke, but it's not in any, like, it's not, well, let me think about how I want to say this. It's certainly not the exact same path is our Josuke. I will say that. I'll say that. Because there's a lot more coming. And that is sadly, one of the downsides of having read ahead is I can't really theorize completely with you when I know a few things that are to come, but we'll get to those in later batches. So, but I can tell you where I was at when I was reading this part of it. I'm sorry, I just couldn't put it down. I could not stop at like 4 chapters and then like, I couldn't do it, you guys. I had to read way ahead. It was so stinking good. So, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm already loving the vibe. I'm loving that we have like a very good, profound mystery, a lot of silliness. And to offset the silliness, we just have some really graphic, like, what the fudge, and that is not going to stop, just so you know. Like, it's this very weird, like, dichotomy of, like, nudity, graphic stuff, shocking, and, like, cutesy boy, happy boy, puppy boy, silly girl. Like, it is what it is. It is what it is, you guys. But I hope you enjoyed reading along with me today. Let me know what your thoughts are on Jojolion so far, and I would love to hear from you about it. And yeah, so for now, I have to give it a big thumbs up because it already like got me very hooked right away. So I think that's really saying something. But yeah, guys, I cannot wait to share more with you here. I'll be back next week with another batch. So please be sure to join me next time, and we will read it together. Bye for now, guys.